What if tomorrow morning every person on Earth woke up with enough money for food, shelter, healthcare, and education, and never had to worry about survival again? The explosion of human creativity and potential would be so incredible. It would feel like our species just discovered superpowers. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow to news reports showing empty homeless shelters because everyone has been housed, food banks closing because hunger has ended, and children around the world walking to school with full bellies and excited minds instead of working to help their families survive. This isn't just about financial numbers changing on bank statements. When poverty disappears overnight, we'd witness the single greatest unleashing of human potential in recorded history. Suddenly, 3 billion people who are focused on basic survival could redirect their energy, intelligence, and creativity toward innovation, art, relationships, and dreams they never had time to pursue. But the transformation would go far beyond individual lives. When poverty vanishes, it would trigger a cascade of changes that would revolutionize human society, unlock hidden talents on a global scale, and possibly accelerate human progress by centuries. Let's start with what happens when human intelligence is finally unleashed from survival mode, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. Right now, there are potential Einsteins, and Marie Curies living in slums, working in factories as children, or struggling to find their next meal instead of developing their incredible gifts. Suddenly, millions of brilliant minds that were trapped in poverty would flood into education systems, research facilities, and creative industries. We'd see an explosion of scientific breakthroughs as people who never had access to laboratories or universities suddenly have the freedom to explore their curiosity about the world. The arts would experience a renaissance, unlike anything in human history. Imagine symphonies composed by former street children, novels written by people who previously couldn't afford books, and paintings created by artists who finally have access to materials and time to develop their craft. The cultural richness would be staggering. But here's the most incredible part. We'd discover that poverty was hiding entire categories of human talent that we didn't even know existed. People would invent new art forms, develop unique problem-solving approaches, and create innovations based on experiences and perspectives that privileged populations never had access to. Entrepreneurship would explode globally as people with survival-based skills and street-smart intelligence suddenly have the resources to build businesses. Former street vendors would become innovative retailers. People who survived through creativity and resourcefulness would become groundbreaking inventors. The education system would be overwhelmed in the best possible way, as millions of adults returned to school to pursue dreams they had to abandon for survival. Universities would need to expand rapidly to accommodate the tsunami of eager learners, finally free to develop their potential. Now let's explore how the elimination of poverty would completely transform global economics. And it would be revolutionary. First, consumer markets would explode as billions of people suddenly have purchasing power. Every industry would see massive growth as the global customer base expands dramatically. But here's when it gets really interesting. Many jobs that exist solely because of poverty would disappear overnight. Payday lending, debt collection, low-wage exploitation industries, and poverty-related social services would become obsolete. This would free up millions of workers to pursue more meaningful and productive careers. The healthcare system would be revolutionized as stress-related diseases plummet. When people aren't constantly worried about money, housing, and food, rates of depression, anxiety, heart disease, and other poverty-related health issues would drop dramatically, freeing up medical resources to focus on advancing treatment and research. Crime rates would plummet in the most dramatic way possible. Most theft, drug dealing, and survival-based crimes exist because people lack alternatives. When everyone has their basic needs met, police and justice systems could redirect their energy towards serious crimes and community building rather than managing poverty-related offenses. Urban planning would be completely no more need for homeless shelters, food banks, or low-income housing projects. Cities could be redesigned to be beautiful, functional, and inspiring rather than managing social problems caused by economic inequality. The most fascinating economic shift would be the emergence of passion-based economies. Instead of people taking any job available to survive, they could pursue careers they're genuinely excited about, leading to unprecedented innovation and productivity across all industries. Here's where poverty elimination would trigger the most profound changes in human society and psychology. The elimination of economic stress would fundamentally alter human relationships, family dynamics, and social structures in ways that would create the most harmonious society in human history. Family relationships would be transformed as parents could focus on raising children instead of working multiple jobs just to survive. Children would grow up with present, less stressed parents who have time and energy for emotional connection, guidance, and support. This would create the most emotionally healthy generation in human history. Education would become purely about learning and growth rather than economic necessity. Students could study subjects they're passionate about rather than choosing careers based solely on earning potential. We'd see incredible advances in fields like philosophy, pure mathematics, and theoretical sciences as brilliant minds pursue knowledge for its own sake. Mental health would improve globally as the constant stress and shame associated with financial struggle disappear. People would develop stronger self-esteem, confidence, and emotional resilience when they're not constantly fighting for basic survival. But the most incredible transformation would be in human cooperation and community building. When people aren't competing for scarce resources, they become more collaborative, generous, and focused on collective well-being. Neighborhoods would transform into supportive communities rather than collections of isolated individuals struggling separately. International relations would be revolutionized as economic desperation stops driving conflict, migration, and political instability. Wars fought over resources would become unnecessary, and global cooperation would increase dramatically when all nations have stable, prosperous populations. The most profound change would be in human purpose and meaning. Instead of spending life focused on survival and accumulation, people could explore deeper questions about existence, creativity, relationships, and contribution to society. But here's the twist that changes everything. After just 1 year of global poverty elimination, humanity would make an incredible discovery about human nature that would revolutionize our understanding of what our species is truly capable of achieving. Research would reveal that poverty wasn't just limiting individual potential, it was artificially constraining human evolution and consciousness development. When basic survival needs are secured, humans naturally begin developing higher-level cognitive abilities, emotional intelligence, and creative capacities that were previously dormant. The most amazing development would be that global cooperation would emerge naturally. Instead of competition for scarce resources driving human behavior, abundance would trigger instinctive collaboration patterns. People would spontaneously organize to solve remaining global challenges like climate change, disease, and space exploration. But the ultimate revelation would be even more profound. The elimination of poverty would prove that scarcity-based thinking was holding back human consciousness itself. Free from survival anxiety, humans would begin developing unprecedented levels of empathy, wisdom, and collective intelligence. Within a decade, this transformed humanity would solve problems that seemed impossible when people were focused on individual survival. Climate change, technological challenges, and even questions about the nature of consciousness and existence would be approached with the full power of human intelligence, finally unleashed from economic constraints. The poverty elimination experiment would prove that humans aren't naturally competitive and selfish, we're naturally collaborative and creative when our basic needs are secure. So, the next time you see homelessness, hunger, or economic struggle, remember what we're witnessing isn't just individual hardship. It's the artificial suppression of human potential on a massive scale. Every person trapped in poverty represents untapped genius, creativity, and contribution that could benefit all of humanity. Maybe the greatest investment isn't in technology or infrastructure, but in unleashing the incredible human potential that poverty keeps locked away from the world. If the idea of ending poverty fascinated you, wait until you discover what would happen if every person on Earth suddenly became a genius with an IQ of 200. Think eliminating poverty would unleash human potential. Imagine if every single person was suddenly smarter than Einstein and could contribute breakthrough ideas to science, art, and philosophy. Click the video appearing now to explore how universal genius could accelerate human civilization beyond our wildest dreams. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're exploring the possibilities that could unlock humanity's greatest potential and create the most incredible future imaginable. See you in the next mind-expanding scenario.